Incredible sex hormone production when using fasting to manage progesterone and autophagy. Dr. Mindy Pelz with Dr. Shawn Baker.
With perimenopausal women, you get these like 60-day periods, 90-day periods where you have no idea if your period is coming or going. With that person, she's going to need to know her progesterone levels and how to click in when her body is wanting progesterone. And it's actually not that hard for a perimenopausal woman. If she starts spotting and there's no official start to her period, that right there is a sign her body needs more progesterone. She needs to step out of fasting and she needs to lean into the foods that I talked about. If all of a sudden her anxiety goes through the roof and she can't sleep, that would be another sign. Hey, your body's trying to make progesterone. Let's stop the fasting. Then the last one is the postmenopausal woman. She really needs to just make sure 1 to 2 days a week she's not fasting because she still needs to make progesterone. She's not getting as much of it as she did at 35. So 1 to 2 days a week, step out of fasting, step out of ketosis so your body has enough resources to make progesterone.
Question, what about an 18-day cycle?
Yeah, I would say the first thing is you want to track your cycle. So I use a Clue app so that you kind of see where your ovulation window would be. And Clue app, if you track it for a couple of months, then it'll take your 18-day cycle and it will start to show you the ovulation period. And the real trick for somebody with an 18-day cycle, if we're going to keep it as simple as possible, is I would encourage you to not fast the 7 days before. So day 11, you would stop fasting. And once you start your cycle, I would actually encourage you to fast even longer than a typical intermittent fasting. I would encourage you to try a 24-hour fast. Try a 36-hour fast. Really, you can use that front end of your cycle, especially that first week, to get yourself more insulin sensitive. If it's an environmental reason that your cycle is shorter, fasting is actually going to bring you more towards a 28-day cycle. There are cells in 2 parts of our body that respond incredibly well to autophagy. And I want you to think of autophagy as you're just cleaning these cells up, making them more efficient. So the 2 parts of the body are the brain and the ovaries. The ovaries, on the outside of the ovaries, have something called fecal cells. And these are the cells that are making you hormones.
Fecal cells, endocrine cells associated with ovarian follicles. They play an essential role in fertility by producing androgen substrate required for ovarian estrogen biosynthesis.
So if you had a hysterectomy where they pulled the uterus out, but they left the ovaries, that is awesome. And I would encourage you to make sure, and obviously you don't have a cycle anymore, but I would make sure if we took you on a weekly basis that at 4 to 5 days out of the week, I would have you fast 17 hours or more. So we're getting more autophagy in there. And then 2 days a week, I would step out of fasting and I would do more of the progesterone building foods that I talked about. And I would do that on a weekly basis. And you might find that your hormone production improves greatly. We've seen in our community, I've seen people with full hysterectomies that were told they would go into full menopause within 3 months of the hysterectomy. And 3 years later, they're still making sex hormones and they don't have ovaries, but the tissue's still there. The adrenals will make sex hormones. So if fasting in that scenario can be an incredible tool to balance hormones.
Incredible sex hormone production when using fasting to manage progesterone and autophagy. Dr. Mindy Pelz with Dr. Shawn Baker. Perimenopausal woman may often have a 60 or 90-day period with little idea of when they will come and go. She needs to know her progesterone levels and how to click in when the body is wanting more. When spotting starts, it is a sign, so step out of fasting and lean into progesterone-building foods such as squashes, potatoes, beef. If suddenly anxiety goes through the roof and can't sleep, that's another sign to stop fasting. Post-menopausal women, 1 to 2 days a week, no fasting, but still needs to make progesterone. Question, what about an 18-day cycle? Dr. Pelz recommends track your cycle, you can use the Clue app to see where ovulation window is. Track for a couple of months, and Clue will show you the ovulation period. Dr. Pelz's advice, no fasting from day 11 on. Once you start the cycle, try to fast 24 or even 36 hours. She says, get more insulin sensitive. If the shorter cycle is due to environmental reasons, fasting will bring you closer to a 28-day cycle. We have cells in two parts of the body that react incredibly well to autophagy. Dr. Pelz says, autophagy is cleaning up the cells, making them more efficient. The two parts of the body, the brain and the ovaries. Theca cells, endocrine cells associated with ovarian follicles. They play an essential role in fertility by producing androgen substrate required for ovarian estrogen biosynthesis. If a woman has had a hysterectomy, the uterus has been removed but not the ovaries, then Dr. Pelz recommends on a weekly basis 4 to 5 days a week fast for at least 17 hours, getting more autophagy. And then 2 days a week, no fasting, but eat progesterone-building foods. She says, you might find your hormone production improves greatly. She finishes, I've seen people 3 years after a hysterectomy still making sex hormones. The tissues are still there. The adrenals will make the hormones, and fasting can be incredible to support this. Annotated and summarized. Easy to share with loved ones. To view and print these summary notes, see the description below the video title. To view and keyword search this channel's hundreds of videos, organized by topic and by doctor, go to doctorstotrust.com.